Hello, welcome back. So today I wanted to dig a little deeper, or a lot deeper, into a technique I've been mentioning somewhat in my videos, but that I really want to explore and explain further so that you guys understand what it is, what the purpose of it is, and how it can benefit you. And I'm going to call it the butterfly technique because the first few times I did it, it involved visualizing a butterfly. So I'm going to stick with that even though I often visualize other things as it's progressed and developed and become something that I've practiced regularly. So when I first came up with this technique, I was trying to release limiting beliefs that were really clogging up my chakras, I guess is the best way of putting it. They were really preventing me from loving myself and from reaching for what I need in life and from trusting myself. So as I went to release the first few of these limiting beliefs, the first couple of times I just kind of talked to them out loud, thank them for their service because they are a defense mechanism our mind constructs to protect us from things, especially things in childhood. So a lot of these limiting beliefs actually are with our inner child and are protecting our inner child. And they can even somewhat block you from fully connecting to your inner child. So that's another reason why it's good to try to release them. But this technique doesn't just work for limiting beliefs. It also works for fears and attachments and, in general, anything that exists in your mind, your personality, your psyche, that you feel it's time to let go of and move on from. So a few times in of releasing limiting beliefs, I just one day had the inspiration, probably came from my guides, to visualize the limiting belief as a glowing white butterfly in my hands, which I was holding in front of me in a cupped position, and talk to that. So in my mind's eye, I was looking at my hands with my eyes, but also with my mind's eye. And in my mind's eye, I could see this glowing white butterfly sitting in my hands, just kind of lightly fanning its wings open and closed like butterflies tend to do when they're just kind of sitting and chilling. And so I imagined this butterfly in my hands in that way, and I talked to it as if it was a embodiment of this limiting belief that I had held for so long. And I thanked it. I recognized what it had done for me and the purpose that it had served. I let it know that it was time for it to return to the universe, to become some new, beautiful thing, because it was no longer needed here with me. And finishing that statement, I would blow into my hands, almost like blowing a kiss. And as I did so, I would visualize the butterfly taking off, flying up into the air, through my walls, into the sky, and ultimately into the stars, and then poof, disappearing, as its energy finally returned to the universe where it belonged. An ultimate form of recycling so that the energy could be something else, something new, to move on to its new great adventure. Because all energy is the same. So the same energy that I released is the same thing that makes up matter. It's also the same thing that makes up us and everything else. And then, as I used this technique more and more, I could feel lighter afterwards and feel a sense of relief and almost just a sense of contentment immediately after doing this. And in time, it developed to where I was doing this for a lot of different things, including my fears and attachments, and it started to come out as different things. So sometimes it would be a ball, and other times it would be like a plant, like almost like a weed I was ripping out by the root. And sometimes I had to really pull and pull and pull to drag this whole thing out of my chest until I actually got the root ball. And I would just kind of visualize this in my mind's eye and just go with the flow of what appeared and went, and just trust that I intuitively knew what I was pulling out, what it looked like, and when I was done pulling it out. And sometimes it's very quick and it comes out in different ways, and sometimes it takes longer, and sometimes it's like a big long cord that I have to pull and pull and pull and pull, kind of like a magician pulling the knotted together scarves out of their sleeve, where there's just so much. And at times like those, I'd often crumple these things up into a ball in my hands, and it would either become a ball, or be like a ball of yarn, or it would become something else, like a worm, or a spider, or something along those lines. It's almost always something that could fit in the hand pretty naturally. My mind just kind of shows me what it is. And through these repeated releases, I have really begun to change a lot, and I've grown much more confident, and my trust in myself is so much better. And I still have work to do, and I still have more to identify and pull out, because this is quite a process. But starting on it is really the only thing you have to worry about right now. You don't have to worry about how many times you're going to have to do it down the road or how many different things you're ultimately going to pull out. Right now, just focus on one thing. One thing you know you need and want to let go of forever that doesn't need to stay with you because it has served its purpose in your life and it's time for both of you to move on. So I want you to take a moment, and you can pause this if you need to, and figure out what that thing would be. What thing do you want to start with? For me, the very first one I started with, if I remember correctly, was the feeling that I am undeserving, that I don't deserve good things, that I don't deserve attention, that I don't deserve friends, that I don't deserve love, that I don't deserve to love myself, that I don't deserve abundance. Just a general sense, the very beginnings. Like, I was kind of ripping the head off of a plant, not the entire plant yet. But I just started with this general, I need to stop feeling like I don't deserve things, so I'm going to take that feeling and I'm going to pull it out. And that was when I did as a butterfly. So just figure out whatever thing it is. It doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be major, it can be very small. It can be something as simple as you're going to stop guilting yourself when you spend money, because that's another one I've had to deal with myself. So take your time, figure out the first thing that you want to tackle, and don't worry, you have time to tackle all of the rest and figure all of the rest out. Today we just want to focus on this one little thing, just one little thing. So I want you to allow your mind to tell you where this thing resides in your body. And what that literally means is the first place on your body that came to mind when I said that, that's the spot. A lot of times for me, it's around my chest or one of my chakras, but it can even be like in your leg, your shoulder, or some other place. It can be weird like that, or it can be a few places. So once you have an idea of where those places are, just take your hands and collect that energy, almost like it's a spider web that got stuck to your body. So you're just kind of taking your fingers and grasping the spider web and pulling it away. And as you do, you might see in your mind's eye that spider web coming off into your hand. And then you can kind of ball that energy up in your hands in front of you. Just kind of move your hands around as if you're rolling something into a ball, all the while picturing this glowing energy within your hands. And it can be any color that makes sense to you, and just let whatever color it is come to you. For me, it's almost always white, but not always. I have had other colors come out. But most of the things that came to me as a protective energy, those tend to be white. So now that you have this balled up energy in your hands, cup your hands together so you can't see it, so it's hidden within your hands, and then open them back up and see what it's transformed into. As I said, for me, it's often a butterfly, but not always. It can be any number of other things. So just go ahead and allow yourself to be self-directed to see what it is that is in your hands. And just see it in your mind's eye and identify it. You can say hello to it if you want to. And then I want you to talk to it as if it is a living, breathing entity, because everything is made of the same energy, so it actually is. Even though it's not corporeal, it is made of the same stuff that corporeal things are. So it does actually exist, which is why you can see it in your mind's eye, and also why it can show you its own form that you can then just kind of know intuitively because you can see it in your mind's eye, which, yes, is clairvoyance. Bet you didn't realize that you had it, or let me rephrase that. I bet some of you didn't realize you had clairvoyance, but you do. We all do to some degree. And I apologize again to my friends who have aphantasia and don't actually see images in your mind's eye. But you can still get a sense for what it is. Just the first thing that comes to mind will tell you what it is. And you don't have to, it's not a requirement for you to visualize this. It's just really useful if you can visualize it, so that way it tells you what it is. But there are other ways for it to tell you, like perhaps clairaudience, or you just know. And that's perfectly okay. So just know what it is and know that it's in your hands. So you're going to talk to it. And obviously you can use my words or you can say it in your own words. Either way is perfectly fine. But the gist of what you want to say is that you see it, you know that it's been with you for a long time, you understand the purpose that it served, and you thank it for serving that purpose for you so well for so long. And then just let it know that its time of service to you has come to an end, and with love and gratitude, you are going to release it back into the universe so that it can cycle on to a beautiful new existence. And now is the time that you will blow into your cupped hands. And if you're visualizing it, you will visualize it returning through the sky on up to the stars. And then eventually you won't be able to see it any longer because it's so far away, and it's returned to the universe. Its energy is now one with the universe again. You have released it from yourself. And just take a moment to assess how you feel. And you can even Actually, I highly recommend that you journal about it. Write what you released, write what it appeared as, where it was on your body, and how you felt once you released it. And now I want you to go forward in love and light and pay attention to things that come up in your mind. Every time you catch yourself saying something negative to yourself, giving yourself negative self-talk like you don't deserve this is too good to be true, or denying yourself something, or feeling uncomfortable about something. Like an example for me is earlier I was scrolling through YouTube and I saw a video that caught my eye, and then I just flicked right past it. I literally denied myself watching that video. And what the video was about was aligning to your true self. So I had to stop and think, why did I deny myself knowledge like that? And I had told myself, oh, it's just too good to be true. That's BS. There's no way that's real. And I had to catch myself and rewind and be like, no, that's not true. You know that's not true. You've known that's not true. So I watched the video and it was actually stuff I already knew. But it was very much an exercise to remind me to stop denying myself things that I do deserve and that I do want, and to stop downplaying my own needs. So anytime you're going through and you have an instance like that in your life where you realize you just denied yourself something, or guilted yourself about something, or disbelieved something because it couldn't possibly be true for you, take a moment, assess what core belief you have that is driving that feeling, and release it using this method. And I think you'll find in time you have fewer and fewer limiting beliefs, and you're able to step more and more into who you truly are and what you truly want and deserve. So I hope this video has served you and has found you well and left you well. Until next time, I love you all.